You are watching a DuBoisTV education feature. DuBoisTV is proud to offer programming that promotes personal wellness, and we wish to thank our partners for making this presentation possible. Enjoy the show! This event was filmed in front of a live studio audience and produced in downtown DuBois at The Kinetic.
Offering a high-tech creative space for public and private events of all types, business meetings and presentations, and educational workshops and classes, The Kinetic is revolutionizing how business and education is being conducted in DuBois. The Kinetic offers private technology, artistic, creative, academic, professional tutoring, and mentoring services to the public and business community, as well as full high-tech support for all of our special events and television productions through advanced social media and web marketing, live web television streaming, and advanced multimedia production services. Put the power of digital media technology to work for the betterment of your family and your community. The Kinetic. Minds in Motion, 32 South Brady Street, directly across from the DuBois Public Library. Learn more and watch our live TV webcasts at thekinetic.org.
This program is underwritten by Bodyworks Wellness Massage for Women, located at 32 South Brady Street in downtown DuBois. Licensed massage therapist Kim Ettaro has over 7 years' experience in this field of work, enhancing the body's ongoing healing process. Therapeutic massage provides stress and pain relief and promotes relaxation for mind, body, and spirit. Make a wise wellness choice. Call 814-592-2810 or visit bodyworkswellness.net for more information. I'm really excited about having this talk on the wellness of mind, body, and spirit. I think it's a growing field of interest for people. They're looking for different ways, more natural ways to go about their health care. And so I have rounded up some great people to join me this evening. I've got Tammy Seeger, who is a weight loss coach, nutritional coach. Lisa Sarick, Reverend Lisa Sarick, interfaith minister and yoga teacher, and Aaron Peters, a chiropractor here, doctor of chiropractic in DuBois, and we're just going to have a panel discussion here tonight on wellness and as it relates to each of our fields. I'm a licensed massage therapist practicing in Currensville in DuBois here, and so just to give you a little information on wellness, we are talking about a holistic medical model. I do have a slide presentation I don't believe that you're going to be able to see live, but will be available up on the YouTube version or after the fact that you'll be able to see that. But just looking at the holistic medicine in practice, it means that they're looking in healthcare at the person as a whole, not just what's physiologically wrong with them, diagnosed through medical tests, but seeing them as a unique individual rather than an example of a particular disease. Disease is understood to be the result of physical, emotional, spiritual, social, and environmental imbalance. So all of those factors contribute to disease, not just what's physically happening within the body. So healing, therefore, it takes place naturally when these aspects of life are brought into proper balance, and the key word there being balance, balancing those factors in our lives so we can have optimal health. The role of a practitioner is as a guide, a mentor, and role model, which each of you have, do on a daily basis as mentor, as a role model. But the patient must do the work. Tammy, you would know that too. That, if someone's going to lose weight, you can teach them everything you know, but you're not going to be there when they, do their daily work. It can involve a change in lifestyle, beliefs, old habits, in order to facilitate that healing. So all appropriate methods may be used from anything from medication to meditation. And, now both Tammy and Lisa, Tammy, you're also a licensed, registered yoga teacher, and Lisa, you're a yoga teacher as well as a a reverend. And so that gets into meditation as well, doesn't it? It does. Okay. So optimal health is the primary goal of a holistic medical practice. It is the conscious pursuit of the highest level of functioning and balance of the physical, environmental, mental, emotional, social, and the spiritual aspects of a human experience. It results in a dynamic state of being fully alive. And this creates a condition of well-being regardless of the presence or absence of disease. So the healing power of love. Holistic healthcare practitioners, they strive to meet the patient with grace, kindness, acceptance, and spirit without condition, as love is life's most powerful healer. How do you see in your fields of practice this come about, in maybe in contrast to a regular visit to a healthcare practitioner? Can any of you give me any insight on that?
I would say it's a little bit different in that I'm really looking to cooperate with the person as an equal, in a way, in that I have as much information as you have, and you may have more information about yourself if I just met you, right? So there is an openness that I'm not the all-knowing, I'm not above you, but that we can cooperate. And so I think that's really the acceptance piece of it. And for me, I also, when I do healing sessions with people, counseling, spiritual guidance, and I also think that there's a third party there. There's spirit, there's intuition, there's that divine energy also, which to me is love. So that's how love comes to play in between us and then also around us, if that makes sense. I don't know if doctors do that all the time.
Well, I think most people's general experience when they do interact with their doctor, it's very clinical. It can be very brief and sometimes dismissive. And I think in holistic care, what we are doing is not just working with our patients, and as Lisa said, we want to partner with them. I think the big thing is, the root word doctor means teacher. And so I think what we really need to be, more than anything, is a good role model to our patients, but also a guiding force and teaching our patients how to live well. And that's a very big part of what I do.
I will say I think the medical Western medicine is coming around. Don't you think there is some change? I mean, I know my doctor here really spends the time with me that I need, and my OBGYN is, they're really understanding now that it takes time and cooperation and listening to the patient as much as, and I think they do have intuition, whether they acknowledge it or not. That comes to play all the time. I mean, I would hope a surgeon has intuition that's guiding them, even if they don't admit it.
I think that we're seeing that more and more in Western medicine. There's a big push now for integrative medicine and complementary and alternative medicine, because just even looking at the data, they're seeing how people are more and more taking money out of their own pocketbooks and going and spending it on alternative care because maybe they're not getting successful results from the experiences they've had with Western medicine, or they're still in pain, or they don't want to be hooked on painkillers. They're willing to spend money on things not covered by their insurance, and so that's really gotten the attention of the medical industry, and so in recent years, and I think in coming years, we'll see more and more those therapies brought in to complement traditional medical care in America, say for cancer patients, massage therapy. They're dealing with a lot of pain, and they're finding that having some massage therapy done may alleviate their pain for that day or for a few days. And gosh, it's maybe they're not getting touched much anymore because they're in end stages of cancer, and there's just some strangeness going on, or they're feeling this or they're feeling that, and so that's a complementary therapy there. And then even acupuncture. We don't have an acupuncturist representative here tonight, but that also really helps folks out, and that taps into the meridian system, and it's very interesting. But my point being, there is more and more attention being given to these complementary and alternative therapies, and they're beginning to merge and be added on.
I really agree with what everybody's saying here, and I've had an amazing opportunity to work with a lot of local health practitioners, and I agree, they are looking for something else. I mean, doctors aren't as apt to just write a prescription for weight loss anymore. I mean, and that's just one tiny example, but it's not like they just want to write a prescription and send people home and take this pill and lose weight. There have always been dietitians, and that's wonderful, but they're starting to seek more of a, going more in depth with how about a coach, because even just with weight loss in general, it's more about, it's more than just losing weight. It's about changing your perception of yourself. There's a lot of aspects involved with it, and I think doctors are realizing now that's the kind of hands-on approach. That type of accountability is what is working for people, not just with weight loss, but in other realms of life as well.
And therein, we're dealing with the whole person. It's the unity of body, mind, and spirit. You think of weight loss, and you think, the body physically needs to lose weight. Well, what's going on with the mind? Why can't I put down the cookies? Why do I keep stopping and eating so much chocolate or running through the drive-thru? A little bit here, a little bit there. I guess that's one thing. But I would think so much of the struggle with weight loss is mental too, and so having a coach, I think is wonderful. Having someone to hold your hand per se, or just help see you, or along the way. Help with education, have someone to call, but it's not just a physical thing. It's the mind and spirit again as well. It's what's going on up here. It might be what's going on in the heart. Why are they other issues childhood as well? Issues. Right. Yeah. Definitely childhood issues, and so there is another example of it being more than just the body. Holistic healthcare practitioners in prevention and treatment. They promote health, prevent illness. They help raise awareness of dis-ease in our lives rather than merely managing the symptoms. So raising awareness with the patient, within the patient, and therein comes education again. If someone understands more what's going on and why, what's going on with their body, they may be more successful in addressing it instead of just being told what's going on, or even told about a test result. You don't really get to see, the images. You go and get, an X-ray or whatever, a gram, a mammogram, a sonogram, and they send a little. Yes, everything's fine. Is it? I didn't get to see anything, But so there's that exchange and awareness, bringing awareness about in the patient relationship. So a holistic approach, it relieves symptoms, modifies the contributing factors, and enhances the patient's life system to optimize future well-being. All people have innate powers of healing in their bodies, minds, and spirits. And what does that mean, innate powers? Meaning they're just built into us, right? And even physiologically, again, your body is always trying to reach that state of homeostasis. Your cells are rushing around, you have an injury, they're doing their job to send in the cells for cleanup and send in the cells to or send in the signals for the cells to rebuild, and so your body is constantly already in that state of trying to heal itself. It's our survival instinct. And then you get into the many layers, the physical, again, the power of the mind, the power of the heart, the power of the soul, and energy, how energetic we are. I know when I was in school and they brought up energy work, being, raised, I'm raised with the, Christian background. My little red flags went up. I'm like, energy, like that new age stuff. What, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. And then I just realized it, and just in listening and understanding that even scientifically, we are full of energy. We are electric. We emanate energy. You can rub your hands together, pull them apart, and feel the heat. We emanate energy. And now it can, it radiates on out. We do have an energetic body. I think it can be scientifically proven. It does get into a more spiritual realm. That's not personally where my training is, other than, we did have polarity training in school, which was more like the circuitry of a house. You would have, you might have a dead circuit, and you have one over here that's hot, and there's so much going on, and it's about to catch fire. And polarity theory, the most basic way I could explain that was and it was point work, and it was realigning the circuitry, your electronic energy in your body, to even that out and to maybe bring some of that over to a dead or a weak area of the body, and soften it out over there and bring that down. So again, balancing work. And now, how has that in your work with energy? What is it? Reiki? Do you have particular training in that?
I have training. Well, I'm actually a Reiki 2 practitioner. I'm not
Okay.
a Reiki master, but I did the first 2 levels of Reiki. But the energy psychology work that I do is, I would say, more similar to acupuncture, in that I'm using the points. When an acupuncturist puts a needle in, they don't randomly put them anywhere. They put them somewhere that relates to an energy meridian or an energy channel that goes to what organ you're having issues with, or what emotionally you're having issues with. So each point on the outside of the body connects with the meridian that also controls or relates to emotions and organs and systems of the body. So in the energy psychology work that I was trained in by my teacher, Henry Grayson, is emotional freedom technique and variations on that use tapping or touching the points. Because like Kim was saying, we are energetic. So, when I, with my finger, go like this, I'm not using a needle. Acupuncture is great. I love acupuncture, but I'm not trained in that. But when I'm using my finger, it's sort of like those, those balls, those globes, and they have like an electrode in the middle, and if you put your finger on the outside of it, it goes zzz, like to that point. You can think of it like that. Like I'm stimulating that point, either by touching it or by tapping on it. So in that way, we also use the power of the mind by holding an affirmation or tapping, stimulating the energy system. And also, it's spiritually, it's the power of a ritual. It's the power of intention and a ritual. I'm going to do this thing, I'm going to say this stuff, and things can change very quickly. I was wondering what Erin would have to say about the energy system and the energy in the body, and that. I mean, for me, I feel like chiropractic is a great way to get my circuits back in order. Like if I have a blockage, and it relates physically to how I feel. But when I get adjusted, I'm like, oh, I'm alive again. Yeah, I'm like.
Well, one of the things that we often say in chiropractic is, following care is that the power gets turned back on. And in one sense, we're talking about the normalization of the nervous system function when an adjustment to the body is made. But at an energetic level, you get down to the very small cellular level and below that. It really is an energetic process. And so when you really think about my focus is that the body is capable of healing, and it doesn't need a whole bunch of external things to do that. What it does need is to remove the barriers. Whatever barrier is there needs to be removed so that it can do what it's supposed to do. Whether that's a physical issue, someone hurts their body in some fashion, or whether it's a biochemical issue, a nutritional issue, deficiency, or a stress-related or a mental, emotional, spiritual type issue, or in most cases, the people I work with, it's all of those things. And so it really becomes a question of looking at the patient from that standpoint. And I think when a lot of people come to see us, they're thinking, gosh, my back hurts. And that's sort of the line of thinking, when in reality, our goal is so much bigger than that as holistic healthcare providers.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the power of the mind, that your state of mind, how that affects you physically is amazing. I've read that when you're down and you're depressed and it brings down your immune system. When you're thinking positively, even the law of attraction. If you're up and positive and sending out that positivity into your day and your immediate surroundings, the law of attraction dictates that's going to come back to you. If you're walking down the street and your head is up and you're smiling and you catch eyes with someone, well, you smile at them either. You might just make their day. I mean, maybe they needed a smile. But if your head's down and you're downward and dour, and you're missing the scenery, you're missing out on a lot, and that's right where you'll stay, is just swirling in your misery, and that's what you're going to get more of that. And so I do believe in that old age, universal law of attraction. You do get back what you put out, and there's a lot to be said for creating your reality, and that you can do that. The power of the mind is great, and it can manifest physically. If you think about somebody that's depressed and how that manifests physically, well, they'll be more downward. They're going to be depressed. Well, what does that do to your spine over time and your stomach muscles? And I don't care, or you know what I mean. You just lose something there. It brings you downward. And so if that would manifest physically, it's going to affect your posture, it's going to affect your muscle tissues, and maybe it's going to then affect your organs, because you're not having movement. I don't think you're having as much movement, and there's a key word, movement, keeping things moving, keeping your nervous system happy. I mean, your nervous system is central command that controls everything, right? Physically, and it controls your organs. So if you have poor organ health, address your nervous system. That's, I think, what I tell people about massage therapy. People go, oh, it's a luxury. Oh, that felt good. Oh, what a pleasure. Like, well, yes, and yes, yeah, it feels good. I'm glad you treated yourself. That's wonderful. But like all the physical things it does for you, I mean, it makes your nervous system so happy. I mean, so many people now, we're rushing around and busy, and they're like a fly buzzing in a jar, a bug in a jar, and bust out of the jar and just stop. You need to relax, and when people do that and they get a massage and they let their nervous system just come to a calm. Maybe they're a person, they just don't get that chance to do that, or they're a parent, or they have a crazy work schedule, or they're just an intense person. I think it's beautiful to be able to see someone get that chance to trust and let down, and let the nervous system do its thing. And even after they leave, that work is still happening. The benefits to the nervous system are incredible. And like you mentioned, Lisa, with chiropractic, that opening, centering everything and opening it up for flow, for, the nervous system, because, coming down from the brain, right down the main part of the spine, of course, branching off in every different direction. But if you have major spinal subluxation, what's the word?
Yeah, well, the terminology, subluxation.
So,
right?
Okay.
Yeah, so very good. But yes, you're right. And what it also does is it imbalances the nervous system.
Right.
And we really have two parts to the nervous system which run everything internally. And for simplicity's sake, one part speeds things up, the other part slows things down. So the one part that typically gets activated is the part that speeds things up. It's like slamming your foot down on the gas pedal and everything goes full throttle. It's called the fight or flight response, and your body gets stuck in that stress-induced state, and that prolonged state degrades your health over a very long period of time to the point where you end up with an illness. And so, one of the major factors that I look at, and that as a massage therapist I know Kim does, is how can we put that body back into a better state and bring it into balance, which is called homeostasis. And we want to level those two parts out to the nervous system by helping the body put the brake on. And that's a great point.
Well, and the adrenal glands too, with that fight or flight reaction. And it's the sympathetic nervous system that is the fight.
Yeah, it's a driving force of it, correct. Yes.
And that's the more the reactionary, the intense.
Yeah,
you either fight it or you
kind of like if you're walking down a dark street and someone walks up behind you, you're going to get that immediate adrenaline rush, Right. But what happens in the body with chronic stress is that activates continuously. So even if you're not necessarily in physical danger, your body is still reacting like it is, and that's a huge issue. It burns out your adrenal glands, it activates cortisol production, right. and of course then people need to come see Tammy because that adds the weight on there,
yeah,
and you probably see that quite a bit in your practice. Yeah. That's exactly what's happening, and that makes your job all the more challenging because of that.
Yeah. And if I could add to that, one of the things, Aaron's 100% right with this chronic fatigue. Our bodies were designed to, or not fatigue, but chronic stress. Our bodies were designed to handle stress. Thousands and thousands of years ago, we had to go out there. We were designed to go out there and track down a herd of buffalo and bring home dinner. Not we as women, but you men were. And that was stressful. And that's, the problem is years later, we're still dealing with this, but the body can't differentiate. Is the herd of buffalo coming at me, or am I stuck in traffic and I'm late for work? Is the herd of buffalo coming at me, or I can't pay my bills? Or, or my daughter's getting married. Even though that might be good stress, it's still stress and it's chronic. So when we're stuck in this chronic stress mode, it's taxing our adrenal glands. It's like you said, they're producing cortisol, which is coming on as belly fat. And it's not, nutrition is important for that, but there's so many more things. And I know across the board up here, even releasing toxins, even just breathing, which is something that, and I know you're definitely an expert in this area, something that we forget to do. We get chronically stressed and hold our breath just walking down the street. So if anybody wants to elaborate on the breath.
Oh, that would be wonderful,
Yeah.
Lisa.
Okay, I was thinking something else, but yeah, in yoga, the breath is important just because we do breathe with mostly the upper part of our lungs. But if you watch a baby when they're sleeping and breathing, it's like their whole body is breathing. Like you see the baby's belly, like their whole body expands and contracts with breath. And we all started out that way, and then we get like there's not enough time to take a deep breath or something. I don't know what the mindset is that creates that, but we can consciously go back to that fuller breathing, and it immediately calms the mind as well as brings more oxygen to the body. So it's revitalizing and relaxing at the same time. So we do teach that in yoga. The other thing that I was thinking about when you all were talking is that at the end of yoga we lie down in a pose that's just basically you're lying on your back and you're still. And the idea of that is the body rebalancing after the yoga poses, stretch and twist and activate the body. You want to just let it rebalance. But that is sometimes the hardest part of yoga class for people. Some people have to leave early and can't stay for that part, the last 10 minutes. But really it's because we often have two speeds. We have full on and we have sleep. And we have to cultivate relaxation. We have to cultivate the ability to be aware and relaxed. We're not that good at it. So in the beginning, a lot of people lie down and they fall asleep during that part because the body's like, oh, we're laying down. Awesome. Let's go to sleep. But what we want to try to cultivate is different variations in our energy. So we're not full on or asleep, but we can be relaxed. And then you start to see how relaxed you can actually be in life, in the traffic, in the stressful situation, in the, we start labeling or renaming those things as, this is just happening. I mean, yoga ends up bringing us equanimity, where, this just is. Maybe this isn't a bad thing or a good thing. Maybe this just is. And we start to develop this peaceful way to be, sort of a typical what you think of a yoga teacher walking around, floating around. I'm not saying I'm like that all the time, but I am aware when my mind has gone off and created a story that's bringing me stress, and that I can go ahead and unwind that story and laugh at it and go, you know what, everything's okay right now in this moment.
Nice. Just be. Yeah. I know we did some yoga when I was in school, and I just loved it. I felt fantastic. And then also Tai Chi was another good one. And basically, you're doing a lot of breathing. It's grounding. It's slow moving. It's flow. And I just think that is the grounding exercise. And you're right, people are, it's like they're either really up here or they're sleeping. And so to find that grounded area is quite a talent these days. And then just even the stimulation of all, like the television and the computers and all the electromagnetic energy there. There's a lot of our body's receiving a lot in that way also. And haven't they? I think they've done some studies on people comparing those that watched an episode of Little House on the Prairie and then those that were watching a modern action flick, with lots of supersonic effects and slasher basher, I don't know. And I guess they probably hooked them up to biofeedback and then measured their stress levels. And of course the people were all, all calm watching Little House on the Prairie. I love Little House on the Prairie. I'll admit it. It's true. And then the people that were watching the high intense modern movie slasher basher, kill him, get him. They were like, oh, we need more of that. We're not there enough. So that's I think yoga is great. I'm looking to do some more of that myself. So okay, well, let's see what else I have here. Relationship-centered care. I think we've, established that's important. The ideal practitioner and patient relationship. It's a partnership which encourages patient autonomy. It values the needs and insights of both parties. If your relationship with your Western doctor isn't like that now, then I guess it's time to get moving and make that happen, and ask questions, and demand to participate in your care more. And if you're not finding that, then, you know, I have that with my doctor, and I usually am pretty prepared when I go in with questions. And I think the internet probably has driven most doctors crazy now, because we can get on and look up our symptoms and go to the doctor with a list of all the things we think we're dying of, and run this test and run that test. But even just, you know, if you do have an existing condition, I think it's important, you know, educate yourself and read up on it. And if you are looking at alternative therapies, it's good to talk to your doctor about that, especially, you know, if you're a person that's on a lot of prescriptions already. You don't just go, oh, I'm going to quit all that and go to the herb store, and because I heard that this was good. And, you know, you don't want to put yourself in danger either. And I know I'm certainly not advocating, you know, no Western medicine, or, you know, we're looking ultimately at a realistic situation with where we live and what most people have. And so that would be a marriage of the two. And or if you, some people, I do know people that they regularly visit a naturopath, and that's their main stop before their regular doctor. But it's definitely worth researching and educating yourself more. There's different things that you can do. So they again, the focus on patient care, unique needs and nature of the person at hand who has an illness, but not an illness that has the person. All life experiences, including birth, joy, suffering, and the dying process, are all profound learning opportunities for both patients and healthcare practitioners. So we can never stop learning. As practitioners, we can't stop learning. I think that's you know, something that we all embrace. I know with my field anyway, there's so many different kinds of massage modalities. I've taken what I've learned from school and kind of mixed it up into my own version of what a massage should be or could be and what the person needs. But I'm excited too, because there are so many other avenues out there yet, chances to learn. And I know I love to learn. I think a lot. I can't imagine not feeling like I know everything. I just don't. And I like to be humble that way, and always look for, you know, new information and ways that I can learn professionally and of course personally. And I know you had mentioned that, I think, when I was reading over your promo, that you like to learn.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I like to be the least intelligent person in the room. It allows me to learn and grow from other people. I mean, I love to share what I learn, but it's a continual process. And I think, you know, everybody up here, we all have, you know, the science behind what we do or the mechanics behind what we do or whatever. But I know, knowing these people, that when Kim talked about patient care, it's important for all of us to meet our patients or clients where they are. I'm sure when somebody comes in to see Kim, she's not just, you know, tossing them on the massage table and gone to town. She's assessing them to figure out where they are when they walk through the door. And I know as a yoga instructor, you are too. I mean, it's really important to, whether it's an individual or whether it's a class, to take a look at them and find out where they are. Is their energy level sky high or is it low? Because that's probably going to dictate a lot about how you lead your class that day. And Erin, I know you definitely are going to assess, probably before the patient's even in your room with you, where they are. So the importance of not just learning the mechanics or science or whatever behind what we do as individuals, we really have to continue to grow and learn more about people. That actual process of communicating with people and actually understanding and caring.
Actually, Kimberly, if I could interrupt for a moment on that point, Tammy, of communicating with people. We have our first question from our remote viewing audience on the internet via the Ustream TV social channel.
Wow.
And the question is directed toward Aaron and Tammy. Do they feel that there is a local, quote, nutritional epidemic or a crisis that people should address? And for the folks watching at home, I want to thank you for joining the conversation. And please join us on Facebook and ask your question of our panel, and we'll get it in as time allows tonight. Thank you so much. So why don't we go ahead and start with Dr. Peters?
Yes, I do believe there is a nutritional epidemic, whether it be just a lack of understanding about the issue. I think what people don't realize is that the simplest way you can heal your body is with nutrition. We are required to take in nutrients every day, and if we don't do that on a regular basis, and we're not getting the essential things that we need, then we're going to create a deficit, and that deficit over time adds up. I think there's so many factors related to this subject. I think it's something I could probably talk about for hours, and I have. Tammy knows that. But I mean, there's so many good resources out there, I think, to educate yourself and really just understand that the more you know about the subject of nutrition, the more you can take your power back, your healing power, your ability to stay well. It all comes down to what you eat, and you're either moving yourself towards a state of vibrancy and well-being, or you're moving yourself a little bit closer to digging your grave with your fork and knife. So learn as much as you can, and there's some phenomenal resources out there.
Yeah, she actually addressed that to the two of you. So Tammy, if you would, please.
Like Aaron, seriously, 6 a.m. tomorrow, I could still be sitting here talking about it. But I agree. We obviously have an obesity epidemic, and the sad thing about it is I believe there's more to it than people just making bad choices. People don't realize they're making bad choices, and like Aaron said, there's a lot of information out there. It's a matter of being naive or ignorant about it. And I think it's important for health practitioners to be educating their patients on this. We live in a place where the soil, we do in particular here, the soil's depleted. So we're not getting nutrients from food like we think we are. And you can, and I'm going to stop here shortly or I'll go on, but, you could talk about the whole organic issue, whether or not we're eating things, that are toxic with pesticides. In the U.S. here, we have a lot of foods that we're eating them. They're provided in our grocery stores, and the majority of us think, oh, they're safe because they're there. But these things are banned in other countries. So it is just a matter of digging in and looking, and just finding out more about, it's your body. You get one chance. So it's important to feed it properly so you do, work towards vibrancy and not an earlier premature death.
I know they didn't ask me, but I have a story. When I was in graduate school, I was 28 years old, and I was full-time in art therapy graduate school. I had a full-time internship at a prison, and I was also learning to teach fitness classes. So I was taking this other trainings on the, one day that I had a week to become a fitness instructor. So that was my schedule, and I was just eating whatever was fast and convenient, which is packaged and, quick and wherever you can grab it, whatever. And I ended up with joints so swollen that I couldn't bend my knees. One morning I woke up and I couldn't bend my knees, and my roommates had to take me to the medical center. And I went to a very good university with a very prestigious medical center where I went. And after looking for Lyme disease and testing me for all kinds of things, they said, you have arthritis, and we can send you to a rheumatoid specialist, and here's anti-inflammatories, and you should probably stop teaching fitness classes, and this is your life now. And the fact that someone might have taken that away is frightening to me, and just said, okay, so I now have to be inactive and take anti-inflammatories, and I'm done now, you know, and that's my life, and I'll work around that. My sister-in-law at the time was sort of like holistic, and I don't know, put garlic in her kids' socks, and I didn't know, you know, I didn't know what, I just knew I had to go to her house. so I went there. I said, look, something's wrong with me. And she put me on juice. She had a juicer. She put me on organic juices, carrot juice, green juice, celery juice, mix things up. And she said if I get really hungry, I could have a banana. I was like, really? Thanks. You know, and then for dinner, like brown rice and lightly steamed vegetables. And I was better in about 3 or 4 days, and then just kept my diet really clean. And I think, you know, when you guys say there's lots of information out there, sometimes it's like there's so much information out there. Like, well, this is good, but this isn't good. And last week it was good, but this week it's bad. And now, you know, but what I found the simplest thing turned out to be the closer to nature it is, the closer to its natural state. But then there's the whole organic and chemicals, and I know all that. But, you know, still, when I went from not packaged to the way it came from nature, whether it was juiced or lightly cooked, or I completely healed. And I almost wanted to go back to the medical center and go, like, look, I'm all better. No, not in it, but just you know. And this is what I'm hoping. I mean, that was, I hate to say it, that was a long time ago now. Almost, it was about 17 years ago. So I'm hoping that, and I do feel like Western medicine is realizing, you know, it's not just to give a pill. It's like, what are they taking in? It's what we're taking in is so important. So that's my 2 cents on that. Thanks.
Any more questions? And any questions from people here tonight? Comments, special stories?
They're all chilling.
Okay.
The doctor said there's nothing we can do about it. They don't have anything that can heal it. Your grandkids can push your face up and play with you and do whatever they want. It's not going to help it. And I went through the whole schmear. I went to Kim massage therapy, and it helped me tremendously. And for me, a lot of prayer. And it went away within like 6 weeks. And he said it would not ever go away. And he was very cold about it, and it was, I never went back to the doctor over there, and I still had it. So I'm really hopeful with all the, you know, this new, it's new for me.
And that is an example of where people are.
Kimberly, could
yeah.
I kindly interrupt you for a moment? For our folks that are at home, that was a great story, and thank you. They would have been hearing dead air. So if you would just kind of reiterate the story, if you
Sure.
would. And anybody in the room that does have a question, if we don't have an audience mic, unfortunately, set up, but if you do have a question, perhaps we can hand you the microphone, or our speakers, as I said, just sort of reiterate what was being said. Okay, I'm sorry for interrupting. Go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. Just a lady in the audience here, Bonnie, was relating a story, a personal story of what happened to her when she came down with Bell's palsy, which was a condition in your left side of your face, what was palsy, kind of like not a stroke, but kind of like a drooping of the face, a nervous system condition, or a condition of the nerves, or from the brain. I'm not quite sure.
Cranial nerve.
Cranial nerve. Okay, I assumed it was with the nerves, and just that she went and was treated by her doctor, and he said that there really wasn't much that could be done. Did he prescribe any medicine? Did he?
He gave me pain medicine once.
Pain medicine once, and that was about it. Good luck. This is what you got. Your kids can play with your face, but nothing will help you. And that was that. Kind of joking and about it. And Bonnie is actually a client of mine, and she came for massage, and I did I researched the subject a little bit, and I thought, well, I'll just get things moving. And we worked on it, did facial massage. I figured, well, it's going to help the nerves, and that over time, and she said through prayer as well, and there is a lot to be said for the power of prayer and meditation. There are many incidents out there of people being healed and having miraculous results when they're supposed to happen with that. But she came from massage therapy, so in that case, over time, it's really gone away. I don't see any indication of it anymore. He said it wouldn't ever go away, and it was gone in 6 weeks. So, yeah, so basically I worked around your face and probably the scalp, neck, and we just kept, moving it. And so that was very, very helpful for her. But, yeah, I'm trying to remember how we got started on this, but the doctor-patient relationship, that's an example of going in and getting the cold treatment, and that's not okay. And again, I'm not saying that's how it's always going to be in your Western medicine experience, but most people can name an encounter or two of one that's happened to them, and of course there are many good doctors out there too. But when you run into that, don't just say, oh, well, that's the way it is, and that's my lot in life, and that's all I can expect. No, you can expect more, and you can expect better for yourself. And gosh, with the internet now, it's all the information is right there, and depending on how far you want to take it or what your budget can do, or regardless of what your budget can do, you can research, you can learn, and you can make changes. And there are even there are other things I think that you can. I mean, you can learn yourself. You can find a practitioner. You can ask for help. If you don't have money, some people will barter. And there are even things you can do at home. I mean, with aromatherapy, I know, and I use aromatherapy. I don't know everything and all about it, but the cheapest spa treatment I ever get is, and some of the best, is a nice hot soak with Epsom salts or sea salts, peppermint, and lavender. And peppermint opens things up, lavender calms me down, and that salt takes away all my aches and pains. And it costs me about $1. I don't have to tip anybody either. But Tammy, now do you work with aromatherapy as well? Did I recall something about?
I actually, when I work with clients, I usually work with them over a period of 12 weeks or until I'm certain they can go on and reach their goals without me or still with me if they need to. But one of the things I talk about that's important for weight loss is stress reduction. And obviously with yoga and breathing and meditation and things like that, I love aromatherapy. Essential oils are amazing. I mean, it's just to smell something can take, it releases serotonin. If it's something that's pleasing to you, it releases serotonin, your feel-good hormone, makes you feel great. But, talking to my clients about ginger and, a couple drops of ginger in the bathtub for a great detox. And I mean, I've just found that a lot of people aren't familiar with it. So just opening up that area, like Kim said, peppermint is very rejuvenating, but yet the lavender is very calming. So bringing those two together, depending on what you need, I mean, it's amazing in the bathtub or in a diffuser or however you want to use it. And I mean, there's across the board a variety of essential oils out there that can be really helpful for, digestive issues or migraines or, in a lot of different areas. So, yeah, I'm sure you have something to add to this too.
I was just going to say, I think some people just come to my yoga classes for the lavender oil at the end. So I use lavender oil at the end when they're lying down in that relaxing pose, and just sort of go like this over their noses, and it wafts up their noses, and I just relax their shoulders down for them, and then when I touch them, then they get to take that lavender with them, and I think that's the only reason that they come.
I know. I used to attend yoga classes many years ago here in DuBois, and the instructor had she had a pitch perfect voice, and she would always come around at the end as you were just relaxing, and she would sing as she was nice. Taking the oil, and she was massaging your scalp, and maybe you should learn how to do that.
Yes, I like that idea.
your job is to adjust the spine to free the nerves, any pinched nerves you have. And you said when you do adjust people where the nerves free, it's like pressing on the gas and shock, like you take off and you won't stop. What do you mean by stepping on the brakes?
We have a question from the studio audience directed towards Dr. Peters regarding opening up the nerve pathways with chiropractic. Dr. Peters?
Yeah, the question was, earlier I alluded to how there's two aspects to the nervous system. One speeds things up, one slows things down. And the gentleman in the back had asked, when the stress response is constantly overstimulating your system, and I made the analogy of it's like the foot on the gas pedal and everything's going full throttle. How does like an adjustment or some type of care to the body, how does that balance that? And without getting into the complex neurology of all of it, very simply, when you align the body in that fashion and you're taking care of that circuit breaker, what you are doing is you're then creating feedback into the central nervous system, particularly the brain, which balances that reaction. So then you have a return to what's called homeostasis, which is an optimal way of functioning for the entire body. So this effect, while it happens immediately, it may not necessarily change the underlying pattern that a person experiences neurologically, because if something has been there for a very long period of time, it's just like any other bad habit. It's going to create this feedback loop that is constantly there. So it takes repetition to be able to change that. So did I answer your question? Okay.
Excellent. From our remote viewing audience, we have another question. The question is from user Kelly Wellman on our Ustream social channel. What is the most difficult part of being a healthcare practitioner? I guess maybe we should start with our host and go down the line. Kimberly?
The most difficult part is asking for help.
Hosting television shows.
Hosting, yes. Public speaking. I would say, well, many people in I'm naturally one that likes to help. Help others. That's all I've ever wanted to do. So, and that can be done to a fault. And when you're busy helping others all the time, sometimes you forget to stop and have yourself helped out as well. So, and that would probably be it. Sometimes I have a hard time asking for help, and or arranging to get worked on. You know, I'm working on other people, and so I guess that's the most difficult thing for me. Other than that, I just want to help everybody, and I can't. So until I would allow them to clone me, which they probably already have. But so yes, I want to help everyone, and I can't, and I need some help. There we go.
You took my answer. Seriously, no. I was just going to say, because I want to save the world, and there aren't enough hours in the day. And we talked earlier about you are either running hard or you're sleeping, and that's so true. When I'm running hard, I'm helping people. Otherwise, I'm sleeping, and I forget sometimes to take care of me. So I think sometimes, as as somebody who's out there talking to people about health, I think a lot of times, at least for me, I have to remind myself to practice what I preach.
Yeah, I think this may be a variation on that same answer, but I think balance in my life between working and playing and resting and mothering and, my personal life. And what I have come to allow is time periods where it's all about this, and then time periods where it's all about that. So maybe it balances out over a long period of time. It may not be balanced in one day, but this day may be off balance into, honestly, yesterday I spent at a luxurious spa with a bunch of my girlfriends. So that was completely, I didn't even answer emails, and people are emailing me about officiating weddings next summer, and I'm like, there's no business being done today, but then I may go into a time period where I'm just all work and promoting my work and getting clients and running a group, and then I rest. And so maybe at the end of the year, if there was a balance sheet, it would level off. I don't know.
I think for my own personal feeling on this subject is that the most frustrating thing to me is the fact that we in our culture, in our society, we are constantly bombarded by messages from so many different angles, and it creates a mass confusion in the average person's mind. And we're very busy. We live lives. Many of us have families, and so we get our information from the TV or from a soundbite we hear on the radio, and all of that information is directed from very powerful sources that have a vested interest in seeing things kind of remain the same in the healthcare system, so things don't necessarily change a great deal. And so when I work with people, I find it so frustrating sometimes that I just want to download all this information that I have in my head and just give it to them so that they can understand, the big picture. So I have to be better at finding that soundbite method, if you will, to be able to package that message to people in ways that are very, very clear, so that it's more conveyed. But to me, I think that is my biggest frustration: is how can I compete when the average person is going to hear 200 to 300 ads somewhere throughout their day about a medication or a particular food that may not necessarily be healthful. And what disturbs me a lot is watching my kids programming, and you see everything during the commercials is designed to do that from a very early age. So it is a bit of a frustration for me.
Are there any other questions that anyone has? Yes, Ryan.
Just going to ask, being that it's cold weather season and people's bodies kind of respond differently to cold weather, itchy skin, sore throats, that kind of thing, is there any kind of precautionary things that people should be doing during cold weather that they wouldn't normally think of? That kind of stuff?
So during the cold season, different people react differently to that weather change. And you'd mentioned like itchy, dry, mainly skin, or what they could do to remedy that.
Yeah,
Does that sum up your question?
The fact that you're
breathing in dry air.
Generally, just irritating your body.
I know off the top of my head, as far as the dry air thing goes, in our house, we have old style radiators. You need to put moisture back in the air when it's dry, because then you get dry nasal passages, and you pour little membranes in there, crack, and you get nosebleeds and whatnot, or more susceptible to dander or colds and whatnot. So I would recommend a humidifier, or we've put old school. We've put pots, I'm a big Pyrex fan, so I've got all these Pyrex bowls, glass bowls, and I'll put water on the radiator, so as that's heating up through the house, it puts moisture back in the air. There are neti pots you can use, and then depending on the type of an essential oil, you could use tea tree. I think can be dispersed through the air and inhaled, and but for your skin, then oil, creams, hydration, more water. Anybody? Any other ideas?
I just, from great thoughts. You've got me going there. That's awesome. Some good ideas. But just from a nutrition perspective, this time of year, antioxidants are really important. So taking a look at things like your very colorful, you know, obviously fruits with vitamin C, but your very colorful vegetables too, you know, and a variety of them, your red peppers, yellow peppers, orange peppers, you know, really digging in and yes, yeah, I mean, there's just, as from a nutrition perspective, it's really important to keep your immune system strong, especially this time of year.
I think that our natural instincts and also what's happening in nature sort of can guide us. In Ayurveda, Ayurveda is a sister science to yoga. It's the Indian traditional medical system, I would say. And in Ayurveda, at this time of year, you would want to be eating more food that's more moist, like warm, soupy foods. But don't we? You know, we automatically sort of do that. I mean, you don't feel like a cold salad. And that is what's better for our body at this time, is the more, because there's more moisture, more liquid, like literally soups and stews and things like that. And then even so, what's in season, you know, beets and, you know, these colorful roots that are being harvested now. So I think if we listen to what we feel like we want, there's some truth to that and what's readily available right now. And the only other thing I was going to say about the sinuses is the yogis are big on the neti pot, where you flush out your sinuses with salt water. But there is an old remedy called Ponaris that someone just recently told me about it. I'm like, this is like a secret because it's behind the pharmacy counter. You have to ask the pharmacist for it, but it's not by prescription. You can get it online nowadays too. It's Ponaris, and it's from like 1930 or something, and it's a little bottle of oils, basically, and a little dropper, and you tilt your head back and you drop the oils in. It's like peppermint and cinnamon. No, I don't know if it's cinnamon. Some different oils that basically coat your sinuses, and it's saved my life. And just saved my sinuses so that I'm not susceptible to sinus infections and all that stuff that's in the air. So if you do have one of those dry homes, if you do that at night before you go to bed, it's like heavenly. Nice. So that's a secret I won't tell you.
At the risk of sounding like a broken record, I will say it's nutrition, nutrition, nutrition. And focusing particularly upon plant-based sources of nutrition. In the wintertime, I mean, there are so many things you can add. There are a lot of things like oregano oil and different species of algae and so forth that can really bolster the immune system. I think one of the biggest things due to our geographic location is the lack of vitamin D in the wintertime. And as the sun is what produces the stimulation of vitamin D, but there's so many other factors besides the fact that we don't get that sun. You have to take a look at calcium and how much calcium is in someone's diet, because all those factors determine how your body converts vitamin D into a usable form. And when you don't have that vitamin D present, then that's going to make a lot of issues come up, particularly more susceptibility to colds, flus, and more serious wintertime illness. I think taking care of your body, exercising, and also I know from my work experience and working with patients that they also have a much better immune system. And I'm sure you would find that to be the case too, Kim. When you're working with patients and straightening out their body, things work better, including the immune system. So there's so many things that you can do, and I think once again it comes down to just I can't stress enough that you have to become your own best advocate for yourself, your health, and really be the one that owns and is responsible for what goes on. It's your body, right? And your doctor is there only from the standpoint that they took the time to go to school to better understand how to help you. But they should not be necessarily the final authority. And I don't look at what I do as being the final authority. I want patients to be just as active of a participant in their care then I tell people it's not a 50-50 relationship. It's 100% and 100%. I give 100%, and likewise, I want to encourage people to do that too. So please, by all means, learn as much as you can, and I would absolutely tell you start by looking at nutrition. So, sorry, I know that was a bit.
No, that's okay. And everybody is different too. We're not all equal. We're not all the same. You got to look at your genetic history. What is your disposition? What's your personality? But what is your physical disposition? I'm a northerner. I'm Welsh and Scotch-Irish. My husband, he's Hungarian and Italian. He loves the sun. I'm like, yeah, sun's okay, a little bit okay. I'm heading to the shade. And our tolerances are very different. And I tend to believe in my common sense method of life that that's just part of our genealogy, And so Aaron's right in that, we need to take responsibility ultimately for our own health. The doctor is there to help, but the doctor has a model that they're following, kind of a standard model. Test this, do that, and what is a normal range. And maybe your range is a little different than somebody else's. Well, your skin is different than somebody else's, and then there's the matter of I don't know. Many people have heard of the book, Eat Right for Your Blood Type. What's that all about? What does your blood type have to do with it? How you should be eating, eating with the seasons. Eating what's in season. And a good way to get nutrition, because we have got to be realistic. And I know when we're at our best, eating healthy in our house, it takes time, and I don't always have time anymore, or I just get busy, and my 14-year-old doesn't do it. If I don't prepare healthy for it, it's not happening. But a great way to get maximum nutrition is through juicing and I think smoothies. And if we can't find it in a local grocery store in our region in particular, we sometimes got to drive a little ways, although there's more and more, coming in to our local stores. You can order powders online, maca powder and spirulina, and spirulina is like a superfood. And there are some, you can combine all these things together, boom, it's in a shake, it's down, woohoo, okay, I got my nutrition for this first half of the day, or maybe for a whole day. Maybe I got more nutrition in that one smoothie I drank than I've had in the last week. My diet these days, that'd probably be true. If I made a smoothie tomorrow, my body would freak out. Wow, Kim, thank you so much. I'm so glad you put down the donuts today and had a smoothie. Thank you. That's great. Well, your skin's going to look great. But so everybody is different. You gotta look and be realistic. If you're on the go, I think blend it. That's a fast and realistic way to go, and you can order stuff organically online. And on that note, I think one thing that's interesting is I find Chinese medicine interesting, and in Ayurvedic too, and how they approach foods and what you should eat. If you're lethargic or maybe overweight, lots of fluid in your body, they may have you eat bitter foods to cleanse that, what they call phlegm, from the body, or for circulation, be eating or consuming cayenne pepper, things that are hot and activate their approach to foods and what they do for your body. Some people might need cooling, but they may prescribe, you need a cooling diet right now. Might change in a month. But I think that whole approach in their medicine is interesting. And I've tried to employ that some. When I was heavier and trying to lose weight, I found myself eating more bitter foods to clear out the phlegm, and teas and anything I could do to clean out my liver, or just get things moving. Whatever I was reading, and learning about myself and my health, and it worked. And I realized I needed to get moving. I started at Curves. I went in there and talked to the lady, and she's like, "Well, it's great you're here, and it's so wonderful," and blah blah. And why are you here? And I said, I just need to get moving. That was the most, and that's the most base thing I can say on any level, in your mind, in your body, and in your spirit. If it's stagnant, and its stagnation produces disease. So get it moving, get your spirit moving, get your mind moving, and get your body moving, whatever, or all of them. And balance that all out, and you're on your way. But so that's. Does anyone else have any other questions or comments?
Yes, we do have a comment and a question from Ustream viewer LNGR. She comments that she has been cured from hyperthyroidism for 5 years now, and she did it with diet and certain mineral supplements. And she encourages everybody to pay attention to how you feel when you eat something. And I'd like to elaborate on that and actually get into a question here. That's great advice. I know.
Thank you, Ellen.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the commentary. And I'm going to go ahead and expound upon that a little bit and ask a question of our panel. I know for myself, in the past year or 2 years now, I've lost 65 pounds, and a lot of people will question me on this, and absolutely, I appreciate that. I feel unbelievable. I didn't feel this good when I was 19, and the transformation has been phenomenal. And so many people ask me, well, of course, how did you do it? Well, the primary thing is what a lot of you folks are saying up there tonight. Grossly increased my intake of fruits and vegetables, raw foods, barely eat out of the box anymore, if ever at all. Really cut out any kind of processed dairy. Very, very, very rarely will we eat this. But the big thing, and this is what I want to throw out to you, because Ellen brings up the point, paying attention to how you feel when you eat. One of the first things that I had done was cut out, went cold turkey on wheat products. Anything with gluten, wheat, processed sugar, or processed flours, I pretty much went cold turkey. And over a period of about 8 months, the weight just melted off. Now, I've been able to sustain that and have been able since then to incorporate a little bit more into my diet now and then. We'll still go out for pizza now and then, or, this morning I had an egg sandwich on a bagel. So but I'm able now to handle that a little bit better, and it doesn't translate into fat right away like it did. But one of the things that I noticed is even now still, though I'm not putting the weight on, if I eat something that is heavy in processed sugars or heavy in gluten content, basically a processed wheat product, man, I will feel drained and lousy for 2 days after I ingested that product. And it's just amazing me. Ellen, great point. I'd like to put that out to the panel here. And please comment on the effects of processed foods, and in particular, gluten and wheat products on the human body.
Well, I'm going to leave the hard stuff to Aaron. There's a couple things here. First of all, when talking about noticing how you feel when you eat, that is huge. When I work with a client, first and foremost, I tell them, whether it's just your dietary intake or whether it's a supplement or whatever, it is really important to pay attention to how you feel. I have my clients journal. Okay, not only are they journaling what they're eating, but they're journaling their feelings. I want to know if they got up in the morning at 6 o'clock and then by 8 o'clock they wanted to crawl back in bed. Those are things that I need to know, because I can correlate that with whatever they're eating, and 99% of the time that's where the issue is. It's something that they may be sensitive to, or just a food that isn't really good for that particular person. We can't put every individual in a box. We can't say that what's right for me is going to be right for Kim. Our metabolisms might be really different. So it's important to talk to somebody about how they're actually feeling. And one other thing here that when Aaron pointed out, or when Sam pointed out, I'm a medical transcriptionist. One of the areas I specialize in is gastroenterology. So I see a lot of gastric bypass surgeries. And, seriously, it breaks my heart. But one of the things that I see is people coming into their doctor, they'll get the surgery, and then they're shuffled around to several other physicians because they're tired. they're tired, and then they end up having all these other issues. And the bottom line is they're not getting nutrients. So when they're not getting the nutrients, of course they're tired. You know, the energy that we bring to our lives every single day comes in the form of nutrition and food. That's where we get our life. So it's really important to understand what works for you as an individual and how you feel when you eat something in particular.
As far as wheat and gluten in general, if we take a look at the history of gluten, I mean, this massive gluten sensitivity has really only occurred within the last 25 to 30 years, which also corresponds to the fact that we've grossly processed that particular grain. It's gotten a bad name, but we've also done something to most of the wheat, most of the soy, most of the corn, which is, by the way, in almost every processed food that you eat, is we have genetically modified it. And to keep that real simple, what's done is you take the DNA molecule of another species and you inject it into the DNA of the crop. And the idea is that it's going to act as a natural pesticide. So when the crop grows, it's not going to be bothered by a particular pest. Often a viral piece of viral DNA is used. But what they've done is they've artificially enhanced the gluten content nearly 30 times over the last 30 to 40 years. From a medical standpoint, most people should not have gluten issues unless they truly do have celiac disease. So the idea that everybody is gluten sensitive, there are likely other underlying issues there. There's likely overall imbalance throughout the entire digestive system, and it's something that really needs to be worked up from start to finish. But I think if you're eating a whole grain that is not been genetically modified, or if you want to even choose a grain or a gluten-free grain, say something like quinoa, which is an excellent source of nutrition, most people aren't going to have a problem with that. So there's a lot of books out there. There's a lot of experts out there that are making a lot of money on the fact that gluten is this terrible thing, and it does create issues for people. But you're not really getting the whole picture on it, and there's a lot more to it than just don't eat it, that sort of thing. So. No. Okay.
I guess my only thing I would say, and I think this is sort of an overarching idea because I deal with the mind a lot in the energy psychology work that I do in the clearing of old beliefs and thoughts and old trauma and things that we're holding that are kind of creating imbalance in the body, and then also kind of attracting the same patterns in our lives. The one thing I was going to say was to believe in what it is that you're doing. Do you know what I mean? Like even if you're taking a medication or if you take a multivitamin, when you take it, think this is good for my body. So if you're going to go gluten-free, believe that that's good for you. If you're going to follow your doctor's advice, believe in it. There's so much to your actual belief in that thing that you're doing. And when we think about the placebo effect, I mean, people say, oh, well, that's just the placebo effect. The placebo effect is the fact that people can be taking something that they think is healing them, and it actually heals them, even though it's an inactive compound. So that, to me, is the hugest thing ever. That means that the power of the mind overruled, right? So if you think you can have a bagel in the morning and be fine, believe that. So just to add the power of your mind to it is really important. Believe in the physician that you're working with, or the practitioner that you're working with, or your healer. Just to add that. Yes.
I have a question. Nice. You said believe in what you think when you think positive or whatever. What if you fail?
What if you?
If you believe in it and you're going with it, then you're turned off the road. How do you get back to it?
Okay, so the question is, if you're
Say
If
believe in, like, when I had my triple bypass, I said, this is my second chance in life, right?
yeah.
So I said, I'm going to do good for myself. So what if I picked up a bad habit?
Right. So if you're believing in it, what the question is, if you're believing in it, and then what if you get off the track?
Right.
Yeah, there's, I mean, go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Get back on. Is that what you're going to say? Yeah. I mean, we always have another chance. There's always, there's always now. There's always now to make a new decision. There is also the option to change your mind and say, I don't think this physician is for me, or I don't think this practitioner is right. And to trust really yourself and your intuition and go with that. But yeah, don't we all, get off the track? But what I'm saying is there is a truth that there is a truth and something that you can follow that you do know. So you can always come back to it because it's always right there. I mean, we all, a lot of us know what's good for us, and we know that eating that is maybe not going to be good for us, or that's going to add. I don't think I have a gluten sensitivity. I don't have celiac disease, but I know the more bread I eat, the fatter I get. I know the more baguettes I let myself buy, the more, so and sometimes I'm like, let's have a baguette. And then, but it's like over time, if I do get off the track and start just, having bruschetta every night, I'm like, what am I doing? So that I can go back to my truth that I do know. I'm just saying, add the power of your mind to the thing that you are doing, and it will amplify that.
I want to add to that, too. Sometimes when you get off track, you may feel like you're just not strong enough to get back there on your own. That's where you need to elicit, as Kim said, friends, help. Not being afraid to ask for help is really important. And just the accountability of somebody in your life telling you, hey, listen, buddy, you need to get back on track. It can move mountains. The power of help from somebody else versus trying to do everything on your own can move huge mountains. Does that help? Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay.
I would like to read a quote here from a beautiful lady that I know. She writes, "It's time to drop the stories and old beliefs about who you are. You are not your past. You are not your mistakes. You are beautiful and you are amazing. Step up to life and take back the power that you've been given, that you have been given to negative beliefs. You deserve everything good and wonderful, and it's time for you to realize that fact."
I did post that today, but a different Kim came up with that quote, but I found it very touching. And on even what this gentleman said with his question, what if I fall off the track, or what if I go off the tracks and take this road over here? And what do you think? You don't deserve to get back on the track, so you went over here and got a bad habit, or whatever. We've all been there one way or the other. But just because you screwed up doesn't mean you don't deserve to keep trying, or that doesn't need to rule you. It's just it's negative self-talk, and I've been there, and just recognizing what's happening and saying no, I'm going to get back on anyway. Or if you mess up and someone goes, oh, well, you messed up, well, you screwed it all up. Well, no, I messed up, but I didn't screw it all up. I'm going to try again. Thank you very much, because I'm going to try again. I'm going to keep on going on. People with addictions, or it might take them 7 or 10 times to quit. Maybe they're in and out of rehab. I don't know. It doesn't always happen the first or the second or the third time, or eating disorders, or anger issues, or bad relationships. Yeah. It doesn't matter what anyone else says, or even your own brain, because we've got the little angel over here and the devil over here, or the whole which wolf are you feeding analogy. Turn your back on the bad wolf and give your attention to the good wolf and feed that one. You can turn around at any time. But Sam, was there another question that came in?
No, it's been quiet on the front. So anybody listening, folks, if before we wrap up the evening, if you will have a question for our panel, You can even call in at 814-553-8794 or hit us up on Facebook at facebook.com/The Kinetic Mind. And, of course, check us out online at thekinetic.org.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. I did want to just say one thing to the gentleman back there, that you have to get to a point where you realize that you are greater than the mistakes that you've made in life, and more importantly, that you're worthy of everything and beyond everything that you deserve, whatever that happens to be. And we often think in terms of materialistic things. I'm worthy of attaining, whatever level of income, or I'm worthy of attaining this house or car, or whatever materialistic thing you're talking about. But what I think you may have come to the realization that the health of your body, the clarity of your mind, and the balance of all of that is really truly the most precious gift that you've been given, and you are worthy of that. And don't think that because you've maybe dropped off on occasion and fallen off the wagon, that somehow has negated everything, because we're always constantly moving in that direction. We're always sort of reinventing ourselves moment to moment and trying to become the next best version of ourselves, and that's really it. So if I can maybe just suggest to you, just work on being better today than you were yesterday. And that's as simple as it gets. Be better today than you were yesterday. Learn something today that's going to benefit you that you didn't know before, and reach out for the people that are there to support you. And I think you'll find great success.
It truly is a real progression. We have each day, and we don't know if we have the next one. So I know I've really come to live for the day and live for the moment, and that seems to work for me, But some people dive into the water, others wade in. I tend to mostly be a wader, But there are other times we need to leap and take action. But it really is a progression, When Sam had first brought up to me about doing a talk here, and I thought, what will I do, a talk on the benefits of massage therapy? Who's going to come to that? I thought, I'm into wellness and want to be more well and embrace these teachings, and I thought, well, that would be neat to do. But then this thought came into my head: Kim, you're not well. Are you well? Are you well enough to give a talk like that? Can you really? And I thought, well, I know quite a bit about it. Are you? And I just went around in my mind, and I thought, fine, yeah, I'm going to give a talk on that, because I have information to share, because I'm on my own wellness walk. While I'm not where I want to be, and many people have issues. We're human. I'm human. I make mistakes, and I think I've got a ways to go yet. But that's not going to stop me from utilizing this time and space to share my humanity and the people that I've met and know that I can pull together to just share information, to share what I do know, and be humble, and spread the word about wellness, and hopefully help educate the community. And I just want to thank the people that came here tonight, and my guest speakers here, and just thanks for joining us. If there's any other comments or insights, or
I do. I have one. When we talk about holistic healthcare, it's often labeled as alternative or complementary, and I really I prefer not to use that terminology, because in my estimation, it is not alternative and it's not complementary. And the reason I say that is because medicine is a rather new thing to our society, 70, maybe 80 years. And initially, when it started out, prior to bringing in medications and things of that nature. It was really just alongside of the natural. And at the early part of the 20th century, rather, there was a lot of interest in holistic health and nutrition, and actually homeopathy was much more popular than the allopathic model. But for various reasons, that has become the opposite. And what I just want to impart to you is, as we close, is that the broccoli that you eat, the kale that you might eat, the positive thoughts that you may have, getting out there and being active and exercising, and that is not alternative. That is not complementary. That is a holistic, wellness-based lifestyle. And when you live that kind of life, that becomes your primary thing. And only in serious situations or life-saving situations does it become a situation where you do need a medical intervention. And I'm not saying this because I'm anti-medicine. I'm not. I'm just saying that if you do the things that matter most, you'll see a transformation and a tremendous change in your life. And so, start thinking in terms of a wellness-based lifestyle. That's my closing comment.
Thank you.
Just to add one thing to what Aaron said, we're the average of the 5 people that we hang out with most. So, whether it's financially or whether it's pertaining to our weight, the way we look, our health habits, we're the average of that. So it's really, really important to hang out with people who care about wellness, people who care about not just what they look like, but how they feel. So, when you're looking at taking care of yourself, you want to surround yourself with positive people, not the negative people, not the people who say you can't do it, not the people who are, constantly trying to get you to make bad choices. You want to be around the good people and kind of just, dive into that type of atmosphere, because that's what's going to take you where you want to go. You want to set the goals, you want to hang out with the good people, and you want to remember, like Aaron said earlier, more than anything, you have to remember and realize that you're worth it.
That's a good segue into what I wanted to say, was just to thank Kim and Sam for creating this venue and creating this space where you can find those 5 great people to hang out with a little more. So I really appreciate your endeavors, and I want to just bless them and wish you much success, and I'm going to come to everything you offer. So just thank you.
Well, thank you again, and I think that will probably bring our evening to a close. Thank you so much for joining me on stage. And yes, and thanks everyone for coming. Thank you, Bonnie. Thank you, Sam, and the Kinetic, and DuBois, and everything. So again,
and the folks that are watching online.
Yes, the folks. Thank you, the folks that are watching online. We will be YouTubed, and what is it?
You're going to be famous on the YouTubes.
We're going to be famous on the
Famous on the YouTubes. Kimberly, thank you so much for hosting this event. Tammy Sigger, Lisa Sarick, and Dr. Aaron Peters. I want to encourage everybody to get in touch with these fine folks if you have a need or you just want some cool people to hang out with, because apparently they're pretty cool.
The magic of 5.
The magic of the 5.
I never
absolutely.
heard that before.
That's
like
awesome.
that.
And if you are watching
bar.
at home and you're interested, if you're intrigued by what we're doing down here at the Kinetic, I would encourage you, if you have an idea for your own show, if you have an idea for hosting your own event, like what you're seeing here tonight with Bodyworks TV here with Kimberly and her friends. Lisa, perhaps you're interested in doing a spiritual wellness show or a yoga show, or this is what we built this facility for, and I encourage you to utilize it for that is what it's about, is community. So, cheers. Thank you so much, folks.